Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Weekly. Welcome, frontline fans. Welcome, webheads from Comic Book Corner 2.0. Guys, as always, we have a great show for you in store for you. Brant will be here shortly. He's running a little bit behind. That's why we're a little bit behind, but he will be here. And of course, I am Mike Spider Slayer. And with me is Kat Comic Uno.
Hey guys, what's up?
And so we're going to bring you the news. We're going to bring you the top five. We're going to talk about some Suicide Squad, Deadshot, and X of Swords, and all that great stuff. So welcome, guys. Hopefully you enjoy the show. Kat, take it away.
Yes, so we're going to jump into some news first. We're going to start out with, let's start out with the comic news because there's less things that Brant marked there. So first up, Mike, you want to discuss about Lance Briggs and Kyle Higgins teaming up for a Kickstarter book. This was yesterday, I believe.
Yeah, this book is done by a former NFL star for Chicago Bears. And he has this passion for comic books. And, and I thought it was a really cool idea that he came up with. And I was just like, man, that's awesome. You got a football player that likes comics. And obviously it's about someone who's, I guess it was someone who was against racist or whatever. I kind of skimmed through the article, and there's something about skateboarding as well. And I just thought, you know what, that's a cool concept. It kind of blows my mind that you got an NFL star that kind of likes comic books and wanted to always create his own comic book. And this is what he's doing. And he's also sending out a message as well. And I think it's really awesome. So, if anybody is willing to back that up, I would say back it up. I think it's great idea.
Yeah, and again, hopefully it brings even more people to Kickstarter. That's what's interesting to see. Again, someone that's in football maybe brings a different fan base into comics, which is definitely important. All right, speaking of, I guess, Kickstarters, we do have some news on Berserker that the single issues have been delayed. So this book was supposed to come out in 2 weeks, and they're delaying the book for the single issues. I wasn't gonna pick up the series, so it doesn't really affect me. Just wasn't my thing. But I'm a little shocked that this got delayed so much, especially again in the mix of doing this Kickstarter and stuff like that. You think they would have had stuff in the can a little bit earlier than it seems like they did.
But it was just about to come out.
Yeah, like literally a week. That's the shocking thing. It's like, was it interior arts? Like, what happened that slowed this one down?
If I remember correctly, when I read the article, I think it's an art change. They want an art change to it. So, and I'm just like, how do you make that call? Like less than a week before that book comes out, because it comes out. It was scheduled to come out next week. That's when it's scheduled. Because I did my top 10 most anticipated video, and that was on my list as most anticipated books to come out that week. And I was like, holy shit. I'm like, and then I saw that article. I'm like, well, that's not coming out. So that kind of sucks, So definitely disappointed in it. And I think it's not going to come out until now, like February or something like that.
Yeah, it was like months after. So whatever the art change, sounds like they're changing all their interior arts at this point, which is crazy to think about. That's also really expensive, but I guess with the amount of money they got on Kickstarter, they have enough funds to do that. But that's Berserker. Next up, we got some Batman news, which is Phantasm's going to be in Batman Catwoman. So Phantasm's from Mask of the Phantasm, so it's kind of cool that they're bringing that character into comics, and supposedly they'll be important after Batman and Catwoman. And there's also I guess question mark is Tom King doing more Batman stuff after Batman Catwoman? If he's like promising that there's gonna be more Phantasm, what does that mean?
Brant.
Hey Brant, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
How many issues is this Catwoman Batman thing going to be? I thought it was kind of like an ongoing thing.
Mini. I think maxi. So I think it's like 12 issues.
It's 12 issues.
Yeah, so it's a maxi series. So we'll see what happens. I'll definitely be picking it up, but Tevia asks, how do you feel about Joker Warzone affecting Batman 2021? I wrote that article, so I have thoughts about it, but we're not going to talk about it here. So please, no spoilers. We are not talking about any DC books that came out today. We're going to be talking about that next week. So please, no spoilers. I just want to reference that to plug my own article, but also to say that. So please don't. But yeah, so Mask of the Phantasm, that's going to be kind of cool. I think it's interesting to see Tom King, I guess, hopefully write, a female character, female villain, and give this character a lot of spotlight. So we'll see how that goes. We got some new people in the audience, at least from what I've seen. Miguel, Jocelyn. Hello, guys.
Hey, everyone.
What's up?
Welcome to the show. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into something that Brant's going to talk about, because we haven't touched any news pieces that Brant marked, and that's Terry Moore announced a new series serial, and that's going to be with Zoe from Rachel Rising and 5 Years, and what other thing was she in? Strangers in Paradise, the sequel she was also in. And Zoe was cool. She's not like my favorite Terry Moore character, but I love Terry Moore, and I hope we get even more information about Zoe. So we'll see. She was funny anytime she appeared. So that was cool. And I love seeing more of. I'm more excited for that graphic novel. Actually, it's like 70-something pages. It's called like Ever. I'm interested to see something new from him.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything from Terry Moore is it's gonna catch my attention. So, but Zoe, she was a fun character in that last Strangers in Paradise series. Was it 25 Strangers in Paradise 25 or whatever it was? Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be cool. But like you, I want to see something new as well. So.
All right, next is the last comic news piece, and then we're going to get into some media news, and that is the new X-Men series. There's another one. It's called Sword, and if you thought Cable was in too many series, well, he's in another one. He's in this, and I think we have Abigail who's in this. Who else? Yeah, Abigail Brand's in it. Magneto, why not? And then like some really C-list, Frenzy, WizKid, Fabian Cortez, which I think is Gold Balls, and Manafort. So I don't think I'm getting this, in all honesty.
I didn't mark this down, but I saw this. I mean, you saw this coming when she walked out, right? Like, you should have called us. You should have called Sword and all this stuff, and I quit and all this stuff. So you knew they were going to do something. Just didn't know it was going to be this quick. But,
very quick.
Yeah.
Oh, we have some comments here before Mike gives his opinion. I would prefer Rachel Rising Volume 2 skip. I mean, I'm definitely not skipping it, but I do agree Rachel Rising Volume 2 would be cool. Miguel likes Mike's Spider-Man poster. We also have Tizzy the Great. I'm new here too. Hello, everybody. Well, welcome to the show. Thank you, Tizzy.
Welcome, Tizzy.
And cool. So Mike, what was your opinion on Swords?
I was kind of shocked that they introduced this as well. Like it's literally like at the end of the first issue, you're kind of like hinted towards this already, and you're like, okay. You're like, all right, I might pick it up. I like Abigail Brand. I think she's kind of cool character, and I'm curious to see, what Marvel has in store for Sword. There's been all this talks about Marvel going more cosmic these days, so I think they could very well play an integral part in the Marvel universe going forward after this event is over. So I want to see what they have in store for them.
Which we'll definitely be discussing at X-Swords event in a bit. But let's get into that media news. First up, Black Widow's release date is moved again. I forget when it is now. Doesn't even matter.
2021 of May.
Oof. Yeah.
Wow. That is a full flipping year now that it's going to be delayed. I saw that and I just was like, wow. Like, for real? A whole flipping year?
It's a long time.
Is it worth it? We'll find out.
We sure hope so.
I'm not like I'm definitely gonna see Black Widow if we're not in a quarantine / COVID. I will go see it. But I actually think I'm more excited for Wonder Woman than Black Widow. Yeah. So we'll see, man. It's hard to even think about movies right now. Anytime a movie's there's so many like movie trailers coming out. Serenity mentioned the Craft trailer came out, which I'm not like a huge fan of that franchise, but we're seeing trailers, we're seeing stuff, and I'm like, what's the point? I'm not going to the movies.
You know,
Right.
do you think that, and I know they would take a loss, but do you think that they should have just released all these different movies on digital instead of pushing everything back? I mean,
there's a reason, because maybe I think Mulan was to see if it would have worked, and I guess it didn't, from what they thought, work in their favor because they're losing so much money. Yeah. I think that's why. Then also movie theaters. If like you don't want Black Widow and Wonder Woman, what's going to cause people to go back to the movie theater?
Right.
I guess. I mean, but there's no movies in now anyway, like period. And I don't know. It's kind of hard. It really is. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to think. It's just, it's a shame. It really is to delay all this stuff. Because not only, you know, obviously when it comes to Marvel, they have a plan in place and you're delaying that by a full year. And then you have all these other movies that are being delayed. And it's just like, I don't know. It's kind of like you're killing the entire industry by just holding out at all. I mean, at least if you were to release it digitally, you know, I get Mulan was kind of the test, but at the same time, I think movies like who's to say, but I think Wonder Woman and Black Widow might have a larger audience than Mulan did.
Oh yeah,
you know
because Mulan, also we've seen the movie before, so like it's a story we've already seen. So even if you look into the fan base of Disney, you know, maybe even fans of Mulan aren't going to see Mulan.
So I don't know. It's tough. It's such a touchy thing.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening, but right now the movies are not doing so great. So let's get into something that Brant wanted to discuss, The Boys spinoff show, a show that actually has been doing extremely well during quarantine. Everyone's home, so why not watch The Boys on Amazon Prime? So I have to catch up on it. I've heard really good stuff.
Yeah, I haven't watched it either.
Haven't seen it, though. So spinoff doesn't affect me, but I'm curious what the spinoff's about. I'm guessing Brant has seen it.
I've seen season 1, and I really like season 1. I haven't seen season 2 yet, so I don't know exactly what it's going to affect either. But yeah, it surprised me because the comic I was not interested in at all. I tried it a couple of times actually, and it just wasn't my thing. But Lisa and I really got into that first season of the show, so I'm kind of interested in this. So we'll see if I still feel that same way after I see season 2.
I heard season 2 is better.
Yeah, I heard it too. I have some friends of mine that actually watch it, and they know, like, they're like, Mike, you're the comic book guy. You're like, you should watch. Why aren't you watching The Boys? I'm like, I've actually never even read the book before, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but I want to read it and I want to watch it. I just don't have the time to do either right now.
Yeah, the book is very, very blue. It goes over the top with some of the gore and the sexuality and stuff. The show does some of it, but they tone it down a little bit and they change some things. So, but it's still pretty hardcore. So,
looking at what the spinoff's going to be about, 'cause someone asked, it's going to be about college superheroes and them like up and coming superheroes. That's not
like the next generation of heroes,
right?
Yeah, like next generation.
Yeah, I think it said something like part college something and part Hunger Games. So.
Oh wow,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amazon Prime's got some good TV shows. So again, on the list, I just got a long list to get through. I'm still on season 8 of Seinfeld, guys. So I'm almost done with that. then who knows what's next. All right. Let's get into Hawkman will be in Black Adam, and cast already has the actor here, Aldous Hodge, who was in Invisible Man.
Oh.
I really liked him in Invisible Man, so I'm
Is that
interested.
the newest Invisible Man?
Yeah,
movie?
the newer one.
I didn't
enjoyed
see
it. It was good. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was cool.
I haven't seen Invisible Man, but Aldous Hodge is from Leverage. I love him.
I think
as
you
an
mentioned
actor.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got like a really cool charisma. So I'm like interested in this. He might be able to make, again, I'm making a joke out of this, guys. I'm going to say the Boar Fest of Hawkman. Interesting. I've never gotten into Hawkman, so I'm excited to see what he'll bring to the character.
I'm not a huge Hawkman fan myself, but I want to see Hawkman in a live action movie. I think he would be badass, just the wings and the mace and everything like that. I think he'd be really cool. I think Brant's frozen.
He's definitely frozen.
Yeah, he's like completely. He was doing so good today too.
He was, and then something happened. Hopefully he'll come back. We will see. I'm also trying to see what comments. Seems like everyone likes the actor, which is cool. And people can't wait for the movie. Yeah. Brand's completely off the radar now. But yeah, that's Hawkman. Are you excited for Black Adam? I'm excited for The Rock to be Black Adam.
Yeah. I finally saw Shazam. Finally.
Did you?
Like I've been telling you guys, like every Sunday's been movie night at our house since COVID has started. And this past Sunday, we watched Lego Movie 2, which I didn't see that, but I finally saw that. And then the week before that, we saw Shazam, and I own it, and I just never watched it. And I watched it with the family, and my kids loved it, and I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. I thought it was really good.
Fun. Yeah,
it's probably
well-paced.
One of the best DC movies that I have watched, like at least the newer ones.
I agree. I agree with you. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm excited for the second one whenever that comes out. So I'm seeing if Brant messaged us. Hold on. Keeps cutting out. Okay. He said he's gonna try fixing it. And he's also gonna try fixing it again next week. That way he doesn't keep cutting out. A lot of people liking Shazam. Let's see what else we got here. Lego Movie is the worst sequel ever made. I didn't quite like this. I didn't like the sequel. I don't think it's the worst sequel ever made. Nah, wasn't a big fan of it.
I think I like the first one better, but I do like the second one. I thought the second one was good. I just feel that when it comes to a movie like the Lego Movie, it's never going to capture the same magic that I did because the first one was so original. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be it's not going to be quite the same. But I thought it was okay.
I just didn't think it was needed. I feel like that was like the definition of a cash grab,
Oh,
especially because like the Batman Lego Movie was so good. I feel like there's other franchises you can explore.
Yeah, they're going to cash grab it all day. That's just the definition of a lot of kid movies in general.
That's true. When you have the troll movies out there,
movie, like dude, Trolls 2.
Trolls 2.
That
wasn't there a third one?
Huh?
There's a third. Wasn't there a third one too? What was the most recent troll movie?
No, the Trolls 2.
That was
World Tour. Yeah.
Oh, that was just the second one. I thought there was more already.
No, and that one wasn't that great. Not compared to I liked the first one. The second one was just it was like an acid trip actually through the whole movie. Like it was really crazy.
Oh, man, I'm glad I haven't seen any of the troll movies. But let's get into, let's see, we got 2 more news pieces here. Next up is that Nick Fury is to star in his own Disney Plus show. So many Disney Plus shows, so little time. Samuel L. Jackson in a Nick Fury TV show.
I think it's cool. I think it's fine. I mean, I like Samuel L. Jackson, and I think him playing Nick Fury in a show, I think is even better. And I think that these Marvel shows is exactly what we need, because if we're having issues with movie theaters and movies being delayed by like a freaking year, then put it on the small screen, put it on Disney Plus. Then you don't have to worry about this big budget stuff. You don't have to worry about delays as much. I get that there's production involved and whatnot, and there could be delays, but I don't think you're not going to go into a year or two delay because there's no, you don't have to social distance at home. So it makes sense to do more shows, more Disney Plus shows. And I'm happy
also,
with
if they could film those though, because there are definitely things being filmed, but that's still slower. But
right.
No. So Brant seems to be back. I forgot what he hasn't talked about yet. But the only thing we have left now, we just talked about Nick Fury. The only thing we have left is John Cena. So Brant, if there's anything else in the media section you wanted to discuss.
It's John Cena. Sorry, that's a old meme. Nick Fury. I'm excited about that. I think that was the only other thing. And John Cena, not the greatest actor in the world, but it's cool. It's cool. He's getting a spinoff series.
The greatest.
The greatest. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
I just think isn't it a little soon? Isn't it a little soon to give him a spinoff?
Yes.
Especially now that we know he doesn't die. That's spoils the movie a bit.
Yeah, that's true. So that is
what if you completely hate him in the movie? You're gonna give him a spin-off show?
And you love to hate him with the TV show. I don't think I'll be watching it. I just discovered I have HBO Max because I have HBO. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I've watched one thing on it.
You know what I give it? 1 season.
That's a lot of episodes.
Well, not for HBO Max.
I give it 5 minutes.
10 episodes.
5 minutes.
It gets canceled.
I mean,
Cavill watched the introduction. Nope.
No, thank you.
Whether you like John Cena or not, though, he is money. So, I mean,
He's just a dollar sign. He dresses up as money for Halloween.
Just a dollar sign. It's quite possible.
Daniel Rose says Peacemaker specs are going to go up with the show coming though. Yeah, no, 100% right. I've already seen people on my Facebook group page already showing those books. Those Peacemaker books going up. And that's like that with any announcement, right? When it comes to a movie or TV show, those books automatically become spec books. So, snatch them while you can.
Yeah.
You never know when things will go up in value for sure. All right. That was all the news. So we are going to jump into our main topic, which is, did Deadshot die in Suicide Squad? So that'll also get us to talk about Suicide Squad this week. So technically this is not a spoiler in the title because this actually was spoiled for us months ago when this was before it was solicited. We knew he was going to die. So that's kind of the question mark is, did he actually die in the end of this book? I mean, it definitely seems like he did. And honestly, this didn't make my top 5 because I knew the ending. I think if I didn't know the ending, this would have been in my top 5. But because I kind of knew where the story was going, it didn't have as much of an impact. I still think it was a good story. I like the stuff with his daughter. I like the stuff with Superman. We do learn a little bit about Black Mask probably being Blue Beetle this whole time. That was a little nudge we got. But yeah, I actually think if this wasn't spoiled, it would have had a stronger ending for me.
Yeah, this is what leads me to believe, though, that he's not dead. Because I don't think it would have been announced if he was going to truly die. So I think there's something here that's unpredictable. And knowing Tom Taylor, I don't think he is that predictable. Because whenever you see his stories or read his stories, there's a lot of things that happen that you don't expect. Even in this series, like certain characters have died that you didn't expect to die. And even in Deceased, you see things happen that you don't expect to happen. That just kind of is like, oh, wow. So if he is truly dead, I will be surprised. But I think something happens. I think that, either he saves himself or it wasn't really him, or I don't know, but I don't think he is actually dead. What do you think, Brant?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that would be silly on their part for him to be dead, right? Somebody's gonna save him, or he's gonna be okay somehow. I don't know. It seems too easy. Oh, Deadshot's dead. Let's move on. But at the same time, with them ending Suicide Squad, who knows? Because he is definitely one of the mainstays of the Suicide Squad. So, I mean, they could kill him for a time and bring him back later. But the most interesting thing about the issue for me was the whole Ted Kord Black Mask thing. And
right.
That's the only reason that it was like, I agree with you, Kat. It took away some of the effect of it. It is my top 5. I only read 6 books. But,
not number 6 though, man.
But it's I thought that was an interesting twist, and it's like you knew something was up with Ted Kord. It just was totally off character, but I didn't expect that, so that was kind of cool.
Even though technically it hasn't been revealed it's Black Mask, it's just like you add up the pieces and it's pretty obvious it's Black Mask.
Right. Yeah, and when Superman showed up in there too, I was like, that ain't Superman. I'm like, it's just it's just too convenient. I just felt like Ted Kord was panicking and he came up with an idea. You know what I'm saying? At that last moment in time,
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, it is hard to think of what could happen because, yes, he got shot in the chest. He got shot in the head and he's flying outside a window, backwards. Like, how does anybody survive that? But was that actually him? We don't know. And we could not find out. I mean, even though I think it says the title of the next issue, it's like, is it like Deadshot Dead or something like that? I don't know. It says it at
the last issue. We have 2 more. We have 2 more.
I don't remember which issue.
But you could be right, Brand. It could be like, oh yeah, you don't see him, in the next issue, and you're kind of left wondering what has happened.
Yeah.
Maybe the real Superman comes and saves his life.
Maybe. Again, hard to be saved by a bullet hole to the head, but it's comics, so anything can happen.
What it is a ploy to get him out of the life. He's faking his own death. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, it could be, though. You're right.
Could be.
He makes that deal. He makes the pinky swear with his daughter and says, not to kill anybody. Maybe he's faking his death so he can be with his daughter or his wife or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, it showed that he couldn't have a normal life before, so that would make sense. Very Black Widow of him, but all right. Well, that was Suicide Squad. That was our main topic. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. So we are going to go into Under the Radar, which I'm going to pass to Mike since Michael's not here.
All right. So yeah, guys, Under the Radar. This is the book that you may have passed up at the comic book store, one that you forgot that even came out or never even knew existed. So Kat, what was your Under the Radar book this week?
Mine is Black Magic issue. I don't know what we're up to. I think issue 14.
14.
Yeah, I mean, I love this book. I talk about it a lot. I'm glad it's on a more consistent schedule, at least for this story arc. And I mean, the black and white's beautiful for this noir style. And we're just seeing the drama kind of come to a height a bit more here with some of, especially between her and her friend, Alex, Rowan and Alex. And yeah, I think we're finally getting into the more magic side. We actually get to see a really cool fight scene with magic. So overall, I just like the character interactions. I like the look of it and see where it ends up going. I know you guys don't read it, so I won't go into too much detail, but it's a good book.
Cool. Brent, what was yours?
Mine is an Unkindness of Ravens, #1. New series from, who publishes that? I don't remember. But,
I think it's Boom. I think.
Yeah, I thought it was Boom. I wasn't sure if it was Boom or IDW. It's a cool series about this new girl that moves to a new town, and she immediately realizes that there's a girl that looks identically like her that is missing, and now it's like there's these witches and there's the mean girls and the like the witch girls, and they're at war with each other, and she's caught in the middle of all this. And it gave me kind of a Secret Circle vibe, which I really like that show. So I was kind of invested in this first issue. It was a good starter.
That's funny that you mentioned that, because my under the radar is Autumnal issue 1, and I was going to pick up this Unkindness of Ravens and then this Autumnal book. And so I was like, oh, which one do I get? You know? So I decided to go with this one. I think I heard a couple good things about this particular book. And so I was like, all right, well, why don't I check it out? And it's kind of funny because it's about a girl, right? And her daughter. And she goes to a town that she used to live in when she was 9 years old. And she was in an abusive relationship in the past, and and her daughter's doing kind of some bad things in school. So they kind of pack their bags and leave and go to the town that she grew up in when she was 9 years old, because her mother passed away. And it's interesting.
It's so funny. I just want to interrupt you real quick, because in this book, it's her dad's old town that they go back to, and it's because his wife and her sister were killed in a car accident when she was really little, and they'd had a hard time, so they decided to go back to his hometown. So very similar.
Yeah, very, very similar concept. And the main character, though, the character's name is Kat. That's what's funny. Yeah. And so they go back to town or whatever it is, and they find these beautiful trees, and it's during fall time, and it's dropping these leaves and everything else. But the book makes it this thing to point out these beautiful trees, right? And these trees are dropping leaves, and there's these kids dancing and singing this weird song about these seeds and stuff like that. And then so they wind up going to the funeral of the mom, and no one happens to be there except the mother, or the daughter, and then the obviously the daughter's daughter, which is the granddaughter. And she's like, I want to see my mother. She wanted to see the casket open, especially since there was nobody there. And this is a spoiler, so just letting people know. She opens the casket.
Got to do that spoiler alert.
Yeah. She opens the casket, and the mother's in that casket, and it's all those golden and dead leaves from the autumn trees. So, and that's how the first issue ends. And you're like, what's with these trees in this town? So I was like, yeah, this is really weird. And Kat, the main character, I was telling Brant in this book, her name is Kat.
Yeah. I'll have to try it out then.
So stay away from those trees, Kat.
Oh, yeah. I always do.
It's actually a really good story. I think you would like it. It has a vibe of like Jeff Lemire's book in a way. You know what I'm saying? Because it has to do with trees. So family tree, person dying, tree leaf. This one's done by
Vault. Okay.
Vault. Yeah.
Vault. Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I might have to give it a shot. I've heard so many good stuff about Vault in general, and they got some good books. So the cover looks really cool.
Yeah, I don't know. This is the cover that I got from it. So
that's a good one too.
Yeah, that's the main character in there. So again, it's her and her daughter, and pretty interesting book. I'm curious to see what issue 2 is going to bring here going forward. All right, cool. So I guess with that, now we can go on to the big books of the week. And
there weren't many this week. We're sorry.
It was a smaller week for sure. But let's just go talk about it right now. Probably the most anticipated book for a lot of people. This was the biggest released book of the week, and this is X of Swords Creation issue 1 out of only 22 parts of this story. So
only 22.
Just 22.
Yeah, that's all. There's
and Brand has dropped all the parts. So
and this
I only read 20 pages of this one.
And this book was probably like 3 parts in itself.
Yeah.
Totally. I literally it took me 45 minutes to get through this book. I don't want to say I dislike it. It's not that I don't dislike it. I just think there's a lot, and this is typical Hickman, there's just a lot to digest. It's like everything that you read about the mutants on Krakoa never happened until this issue right here. Like, you never read anything about these past characters. So now out of the blue, you're supposed to learn about this other world that was created from the other half of Krakoa that was attached. But you do find out some interesting things, though, in this book. So Apocalypse comes across his 4 children. Okay? The other interesting thing is that the summoner that was all along with him as well betrays him. And his 4 children betray him. This is the plan for them to get into, I guess, Earthrealm or Krakoa or whatever it is. But the weird thing is this tarot chick that is kind of like, well, these cards play out the way they play. I've seen the future, and now you must battle these X-Men against these apocalyptic children. And it's just like, okay. And then you get like the whole sword thing, like the the sword comic, preview that you
I'm
get
ready for the swords, though. Like, once we got a sword involved, I was like, okay. Now
right. They announce the swords, and you're like, okay, well, I can see the swords. And that's what makes me kind of like want to go forward with it, because I want to see how it all plays out, But getting to that point was just very difficult. It took a long time to get to that point. Almost too long.
Yeah, didn't love the book. You go, Brant, for the 20 pages you read.
Yeah. See, because I didn't get into the good stuff, and that's the problem. I read 21 pages, whatever. I read up until they showed the tarot cards, and they were about to go into the actual.
That was the free comic book day book, though. That was
I know,
all free
but I didn't read that. So,
oh.
So that's all I got was like the whole setup and the history and all this stuff, and I get it. That's fine and everything, but for me, I was already like behind on my reading, and I was tired. I needed to lay down for a little bit, and I got through that, and I was slogging through that, and I just could not finish the rest of it yet. So it was not the greatest start for me. Maybe if I wasn't so tired, I'd feel differently. I don't know, but it was still interesting. History with Apocalypse and this whole other kingdom and stuff like that. It's kind of like the intro at Lord of the Rings, where they tell you all the history of the war and the rings and all this stuff. But
yeah,
much more spread out way.
Right. But that was the most interesting part for me, is that you would kind of think that Apocalypse was the one to set things in motion for a betrayal, but it wasn't Apocalypse at all. It was that summoner.
Yeah, which doesn't really surprise me either.
No,
I kind of thought there was something fishy about that guy from the beginning. So it just seemed too easy that he was like, "Oh, peace, love,"
Yeah,
for sure.
And he gathered Apocalypse's children, which that was kind of cool. And seeing his kids were neat. That was the best part for me in this entire book. And then obviously, okay, well, here's the name of all the swords. Now you have to get all these swords, and you have to fight and do this battle. So I want to see
them all for 22 issues.
Yeah, collect them all. I feel like it's like something like it's like the Infinity Stones. It's like collect this sword, collect that sword, collect this sword, and if you join them all together, they're going to become this one epic grand scale sword that's going to rule the entire universe. Like, that's what it's used to me for,
It's like
I'm
the Power Rangers weapons.
Oh, it definitely feels very Power Rangers. I'm excited to see who will wield them. I think that's interests me, like who will be the chosen ones. I like the Summers stuff because I feel like this X-Men book hasn't really had a lot about the main characters of the X-Men. It's very scattered. We actually have a comment from Comics Are Fun. Sounds like X-Men's trying to grab new readers by foregoing the readers they already have with a retcon of previous stories. See, I don't know. I feel like the way they've been telling their stories, it's been so ingrained in X-Men mythology. I don't know if new readers can even read it. I think there's so much information. I don't even know where they would start. I don't think it's new reader friendly at all.
I would open, if I was a new reader, I would open this book and be like, yeah, nope. That's too much. Right? Too much.
Yeah, if you are a new comic book reader, period, and you don't know who Hickman is, you're going to be overwhelmed by this.
Oh, totally.
For sure. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Because, I mean, it was a lot for me. I mean, I was just like, because there was so much new information that you would think that anything leading up to X-Men, to this event, up into this point, you would have had a better understanding. I mean, you understand who the consul was, you understand who, like, Krakoa was, and, like, you understand those elements, and you understand the Sumner, but this whole other world and this, you didn't get any of that until, I guess, basically, Brent, you mentioned it, like, until the last issue of X-Men and maybe like Excalibur, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And even those were pretty confusing. And even those series are so ingrained in the past. Like, I think you'll only enjoy Excalibur if you've read Excalibur. I didn't know that lady who was holding the tarot cards. And this, again, we're all very hardcore X-Men fans here. I personally didn't like Excalibur that much. I know, taboo. But so I didn't remember that's the girl from Excalibur. Because she looked like Emma Frost. I'm like, what does Emma Frost look like? And then I searched her name, and I was like, she's the girl that Kitty had a crush on from Excalibur.
Yeah, I did remember her. I recognize her instantly, but
she looks
hard.
like Emma, though.
She does. She totally looks like Emma.
Absolutely.
When I saw her in Excalibur, I thought it was Emma at first,
So it's a little confusing in that regard. But yeah, that's Sex of Swords. We'll continue.
So are you gonna continue to read it, Kat?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have to, at least for at least 5 parts. I think I would give it the month, and if I still continue to hate it, I'll just pick up the books I usually pick up and be completely honest. But I'll give it every issue their one part and see where it goes.
What about you?
It drives me crazy, but that's the plan.
I'll finish this issue. See how I feel after that.
Even when I got through it, I was kind of like, man, I just shook my head and I kind of tossed it to the side. My son was doing his schoolwork. He was laughing. I was like, Brayden, I'm like, that's one hell of a book right there.
Either means it was great or horrible.
It was just like a sarcastic, like, I don't know, kind of like to think type of book, It's truly one of those books that you have to like let it sink in. You can't, once you put it down, it's not like, okay, this was horrible and this was good. There's definitely, I want to say this, Hickman definitely has very interesting storytelling. Like, his mind is amazing. You know what I'm saying? To think of all these things. Again, he's got more charts in here of him going from like Earth through the whole other side and everything like that. Like, it is amazing how he does think of all these things. But sometimes I just wish he would just scale it back just a little bit so everyone could enjoy something,
Yeah.
So, all right, that's our X of Swords creation talk. So that was a good one. So I guess what we'll do now is we'll just go into our number 5 book. And Brant, I'll kick it off with you. What was your number 5 this week?
Mine was my Under the Radar book, An Unkindness of Ravens, issue 1.
All right. And Kat?
Mine was, I don't even know. I think it was Spider-Woman. Let's see. Yeah, Spider-Woman issue 4. I actually liked a lot of books this week, so being number 5 doesn't mean,
I'm right there with you. I loved a lot of my books this week. To tell you the truth, like, my least favorite book was Spider-Man, and we'll talk about that.
We can definitely talk about that.
My second least favorite was X of Swords creation, but it wasn't like a horrible book, But like, I love Daredevil, I love Immortal She-Hulk, and then so Spider-Woman was my number 4.
There we go. pretty.
Or number 5. Sorry, number 5.
Oh, so number 5. Yeah, you know, same area there. Yeah, no, I like this one a lot. I like the ending the most, where we get to see, you don't know what's up with Spider-Woman's mom. Did she push her? That's rude.
Right.
She did. She
Yeah,
did.
that's
Why?
That's rude. You know, just push her in front of a bunch of guns.
She is the research. She is the work.
Yeah.
So Octavia wants the research and the work. She was giving it to her, and that's it. She was an experiment. That's what it was.
Either that, or she knows her powers are going to kick in somehow and deflect all those.
She looks pretty
somehow.
sick. She looks pretty bad in the end there. I'm curious if there will be a twist, but I thought the action was really well done here. I like just learning more about the family. I think Carla's been doing a beautiful job with Spider-Woman, and it's a great book.
Yeah, I love the whole attitude of Jessica through the whole thing too. It's like she just feels so betrayed and so, you know, confused and you know, conflicted and all this stuff, and you get that throughout the entire issue, both in the art and the writing. So excellent job with that.
I noticed that in this book, like how I feel like the mother is going to betray Jessica, because when she was giving her this story, you know, she's like, yeah, and this is how we're going to do it. And then she's like, oh, and also Jerry, like she mentioned, like Jessica mentions Jerry, and she's like, oh yes, Jerry, my grandson. You know, she is out for herself and for her family. She is using Jessica to get whatever it is that she wants. So whether it's that cure for the niece or just the powers in general, I think that's what she's after. So I'm truly think that she's using her.
Sarani says, Mommy Spider-Woman doesn't give 2 Fs for Jessica.
Doesn't seem like it.
No.
Sure doesn't seem like it.
No.
I feel like that cliffhanger was laughable. Like, obviously not in a bad way, just how horrible she is as a mother. But it was really cool to kind of see that background, that she ditched her too, and she's like, "Oh man, I'm sorry about that."
Yeah,
and she
sorry
was sorry about it.
Ditched your whole life. I'm sorry about that. You know, I made mistakes.
Yeah, it's a good book, man. I love this book right now. You know,
me too.
And then eventually it's going to cross over to King in Black also in December. So you got to look at, we have October's issue, and then you have November's issue, and then it starts crossing over there. I don't trust any of them. I mean, her brother lied to her the whole time. They can all go kick rocks. If I was Jess, I would be on a different story arc.
Yeah, just leave them. But it has to do
like, I'm done with this story. That's funny.
I'm done with my family. I think if it didn't have to do with Jerry, it should be like, peace out. But because it has to do with her son being sick, she's like, all right, whatever. Got to deal with this.
And maybe that's the song or dance though too that this mom is giving her too. She could not be dying. It could be anything. You know what I'm saying? So time will tell though. I'm curious. This story arc, you know, that second issue, it didn't do any justice for the book at all. But this third and fourth issue has been awesome so far.
Yeah, totally.
All right. So Brant, what was your number 5?
I already gave it my Unkindness of Ravens.
Oh, okay, that's right. It was the same. Okay, and mine was the same as Kat's, like I said. So perfect. So we'll just go on then to another book that came out, a new number 1 this week, and this was Juggernaut issue 1, which actually was a lot better than I expected it to be. I thought it was pretty cool. We get introduced to a new character by the name of D-Cell, I think was her name, right? And it was kind of cool because Juggernaut has been working for damage control by destroying buildings that have been damaged in battles. And then he comes across this non-mutant. They made it a thing that she's not a mutant. And she got hurt in this supposed fight or battle. And in this issue, you wind up seeing these two kind of like have a relationship with each other. It's almost like a father-daughter type of bond that they had in this book. And I really liked it. And the art style was a little bit different, and this was something completely different than what I was expecting it to be. What'd you guys think?
Yeah, I completely agree, and it almost gives me a vibe of a Venom type story where he becomes the hero of the people in a way. If that's the direction they're headed with it. I thought it was interesting because you got to see little glimpses of what happened to him in Limbo too, which I thought was really interesting. And we don't know his full journey back yet, so it's like you're just getting little pieces of that at a time, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I liked his new relationship with this character, and I'm curious to see where it goes, especially with the bomb that she dropped on him at the end, and the teaser we get for next issue with the Hulk. That should be a knockdown drag out if that happens. So.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be a sweet battle there. But yeah, you mentioned the part where he was dragging that crystal. And he lost the crystal, and he's dragging the armor as far as he could go, and then he gave his last piece of armor. So you got that little description of like what happened, why he has this new costume now. So I thought that was awesome, man. It was a really good book. It definitely impressed me. I'm like, what can you actually write about the Juggernaut? I'm like, this is creative.
They actually gave Juggernaut heart in this story, which was interesting. Yeah.
And he's always been this just big brute, I'm gonna smash shit down with my freaking helmet.
Yeah.
It's so funny. All right. So yeah, Kat, if you read this one, I think you would have actually liked it. To tell you the truth.
I didn't read it, but only because I heard it was gonna be one shot. So it's not so continuous. It's going to be like different stories every issue, which will be interesting. And also because of X of Swords, there's an excuse not to read an X-Men book. I think I'm going to take it.
It looks like, the story is going to be different, but it still kind of continues because like the character he meets in this issue tells him that there's this problem that we have. Hey, can you deal with this? And it's the Hulk. And it's like, okay, so now you're going to see Hulk versus Juggernaut, but it's kind of connected, and you're also getting that past of what happened to him in Limbo kind of interspersed with it. So,
well, it's good to hear that it's still connected in some way, and you're going to have that Hulk battle in the next issue. So that's definitely going to be a big one.
Yeah.
All right, so that was the Juggernaut discussion. So we'll go on to our number 4. And my number 4, it's so funny. We just talked about it. It's freaking Juggernaut. So that's takes care of that one. So, Brant, what was your number 4?
Mine was the book we talked about right before that, Spider-Woman.
How about you, Kat?
Mine's Black Magic. We already talked about it.
Man, we're only at number 4, and we already talked about all these books. How is that even possible? All right.
Wow.
Small week.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it definitely was a smaller week. All right, so now
good week overall, even if it was small.
Yeah, the books were good.
Yeah.
All right.
For the ones Brant read.
And there's not a lot of DC books.
For the ones you read.
Yeah. Hey, I read 6. I mean, that's not too bad.
Not too bad.
But guys, not a lot of DC books. We're not discriminating against DC. They weren't a lot of released books. And here was one of them. Speed Metal was a book that I actually wound up getting, but I didn't get a chance to read it yet.
Same.
So that is so the only book I really got to read from DC this week was Suicide Squad, which we talked about, and I finally read Teen Titans. I finally got that book and read it. So got that one. So, but we're going to talk about Immortal She-Hulk issue 1. Kat, what did you think about this book?
I love this book. I thought it was so good. It was close to 5 stars for me. Didn't quite make it, but as a She-Hulk fan, I thought they did her justice really well. And I thought what was really interesting is when I went into this, I thought it was only going to be, what was the last event? Secret Empire, because she died there. I'm like, all right, they're just going to kind of relate to that. And then you see all her deaths. You go into Civil War, you go into her first death, and you really dig deep into her psyche about what is death and how she feels about it and how she feels to be maybe not mortal, and from Jen's perspective. And I thought it was written really well, and actually does tie into Immortal Hulk as well with the leader. So it's actually an important issue to read if you're reading Immortal Hulk. But overall, really loved it, and I think it was worth the wait because obviously Jen was like the missing piece of the puzzle in Immortal Hulk because only Hulk not in it. You're like, why not Jen? And it's cool that we got a whole separate issue with her that I feel like meant a lot, and I don't think it's the end of her story by any means.
No, and I think she's going to have a part in Immortal Hulk, just in general, going in the future. But yeah, you touched on it. Her going through all her deaths, I thought was really good because in Immortal Hulk, they also touched on all the deaths of the leader also. So it's kind of, I like how Al Ewing is going through all this whole process of the history of these characters, so you really get to learn them, because I feel like in the grand scheme of things, by the time we get to the Immortal Hulk, every Hulk will be involved at that point. But going back to her story, I thought it was great. And I felt that this was a great issue if you didn't know anything about Jen Walters, because this goes back to her debut when she first came onto the scene, about how she got the blood transfusion. And I thought that was brilliant. And just her interactions with Logan was really great. You know, they got to the bar, they had a drink. She's asking his advice, how did it feel for you when you died? And it's just, there were so many good moments in that book, and I really appreciated it. This is a book where it could have been, all right, Immortal She-Hulk, one shot, whatever, doesn't mean shit, right? But this meant a lot, and this did the character justice, and this is what I was really hoping for. And yeah, it was a really good book.
Your mic's a little down, but we heard what you said.
Yeah.
All right, I'll come out and come back on.
Okay. Did you not read it?
I kind of want to wait. No, I did read it, and I kind of want to wait for Mike to get back to give my thoughts, because I definitely want him to hear. Yeah.
Your negativity.
No. Actually.
All right, let's see.
Yeah. So
let's hear you, Mike.
Yeah. Hey, better?
Yeah,
better,
we're hearing
better.
Brand's opinion on Immortal She-Hulk as someone who hasn't really read Immortal Hulk, or at least recently.
Yeah, I have not read Immortal Hulk since issue 2, and
there you go.
I had no interest in reading Immortal Hulk at all. This issue made me want to read Immortal Hulk. I absolutely love this issue. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I loved her story. Hearing, like you mentioned, Mike, going back to her very beginnings, and then all the deaths and tying in with the leader and this green door and the below and all this stuff. It was just for the first time I was interested and invested in that overall world, and I thought her individual story was handled so well here. And I like She-Hulk, but I've had a hard time getting into past She-Hulk stories. Like with even with Tamaki's, it was like hit and miss for me. I like some of it, didn't like other parts of it, but this was a great first issue, and it was if you weren't a fan of Immortal Hulk, and if you weren't invested in that story at all, this is for me at least, coming in pretty much blind. It was a great introduction to that part of the Marvel universe. So yeah.
Tamaki was very off. Yeah, it was different. It was really, really different. But see, Brant, this is why I think you would appreciate Immortal Hulk if you read it through it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because the whole
it takes a while to get there, though. It does. It takes like a couple issues to get into the meat.
Yeah.
But once you're in the meat, you're like, ooh, this.
Yeah, the whole story is based around this green door, where these characters are going and whatnot. I think it really is good. And I think probably for somebody like you, it might read better as a trade, because it does have its issues where especially in the whole Roxxon run, that story arc, Kat. I don't know, you might agree with me. Not as strong as, say, the beginning story arcs.
Even now, I feel like it's definitely a good series, but there's times like it takes about 4 issues to kind of get to the point. But when it's good, it's like this. It's like, oh my God, this is so good.
It blows your mind.
Yeah.
The best part is when you get to the other Hulks. Like when the other Hulks are introduced, you get like Betty becomes a Hulk and Samson and Rick Jones. Those are really, really good parts to the book.
Yeah. And now it's picking up again because the leader's involved in this whole situation. So you saw the leader in this book. It's because now he's just made his way into the Immortal Hulk book. Yeah. So, and the Immortal Hulk is going to end at issue 50, which is October of next year. So if you do decide to read it, I say read it in trade. And you'll get a better grasp of the story that way. But it's good. Yeah. Because Al Ewing writes it, so you would like this.
Yeah, if the She-Hulk, I mean, obviously it's going to continue to tie in. If it stays good, it's like, I'll definitely want to.
Oh, this is a one shot.
Oh, this was a one shot.
No
okay.
more after that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's disappointing, because it was so good. But now I still want to see like what her involvement is. So I guess I would have to read it. So
we'll let you know when she jumps in. I have a feeling it's not going to be right away. I think it's going to be a couple issues from now, but
she'll be there.
She'll be in it. Yeah, for sure. They didn't make this issue for no reason.
Yeah.
All right. So that was our Immortal She-Hulk talk. It was definitely a solid book. So now we'll jump into our number 3. And number 3 is a book we already talked about. That was my Under the Radar book, the Autumn L book. So, Kat, what was your number 3?
A book we haven't talked about, and I don't think you guys read, Shazam. I was shocked by this issue because I haven't been liking Shazam, and this was like the last issue. I'm like, what is going to happen here? And it's just a one-shot where we get to see Shazam go to class, and a substitute teacher kind of mentions about superheroes and that, we can't keep thinking that superheroes are going to always save the day. Us as people need to save the day as well. And he's like, whatever, I'm Shazam. And that same teacher is in a burning apartment, so she loses her home, and she has a conversation with Shazam and not Billy about super heroics or whatever. And I think they both kind of learn from each other. It's like Billy does learn, okay, superheroes can't always save the day, but sometimes they can, and they kind of meet a middle ground. And it's just a really cute issue and good one shot to end everything. And I was just pleasantly surprised by it. There's some good lines in there. I have one panel for my panels this week, so it was a good ending for Shazam.
Oh, yeah. Fortunately, I ended that at issue 6.
I mean, definitely for the better. This is the one issue I've liked since issue 6, probably.
You stuck with it all this time. Good for you.
Because when I was gonna drop it, they announced it was being canceled, and then it got delayed.
Yeah. And Brant, what was yours?
Mine was Batgirl number. Was it 49?
49.
Yeah.
I went to the comic store twice this week, and I still missed this book.
Really? Oh, man.
Yeah.
It was a good one.
Yeah, it was an important issue for
Of course
Barbara.
it was.
Of course it was. Do you want me not to spoil it then?
No.
Okay.
Go, you can spoil it, and then if it's still on the rack, I'll pick it up tomorrow. Yeah,
so major developments with the Gordon family in this one. So there's this serial killer that's killing redheads and dressing them up like Batgirl. And so at first, Gordon and Bullock think Batgirl's dead and all that. And then 5 other girls show up the same way, and they seemingly have no connection. And James is trying to help her.
That was the girl that looked like Barbara that you thought was dead at the end of the line. Oh, right. Okay. That makes sense.
Right. So James is trying to help her, right? He's put together all the clues, and Jim Gordon is also trying to, he's tracking down the clues. All 3 of them come to the same conclusion. They come to the same point, and it turns out that James has multiple personalities, and so he's the one doing it, at the same time, he's trying to solve it and help her. And ultimately, he decides that the only way to fix this is to kill himself, which he does.
That makes sense too, because he was sitting there tripping out in the second issue, like scratching all over the desk, and he was saying, "Oh, you have to take your medication, James." Like he was talking. That makes sense too.
Yeah, exactly. So it was one side telling the other, "Oh, I didn't know it was your sister. I wouldn't have done all this." And it was intense for. And then Barbara sees him do it, right? Can't stop him, and James Gordon sees it happen as well from a different perspective and blames her for it. So it's
of course, right?
Yeah, of course. So
just
now
wants to quit.
Yeah. So she's done, and it's going to be interesting 50th issue coming up, I'm sure.
Wow.
I hate that it's ending now. That there's so many interesting threads happening. You have all the Gordon drama. Again, you got the brother, where obviously she's going to think that it was her fault because she couldn't save him. And I guess in some ways it was her fault because she didn't let him in or whatever. And then you have Jim, who's blaming Batgirl but doesn't know that Barbara's Batgirl. And will she finally reveal her identity? Blah, 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 blah. I love the mystery in this. I actually like the idea of the suspects also living double lives. So it wasn't just that they were redheads. They were also had two different lives, which was interesting.
Yeah, it was like, I don't remember exactly, but it was like, massage therapist by day, dominatrix by night. It was that kind of thing. Every single one of them had a double life like that.
Quite interesting. I'll have to definitely read it for sure. It sounds like the best issue out of all the ones that came out of this Joker War situation. Where they came to Batgirl, you know what I'm saying? So it finally, you're waiting for something to happen, and this issue was the payoff.
Right.
So that's cool. All righty. So that was our number 3, right?
Yes.
All right. So let's talk. Let's talk about this book, Spider-Man Issue 4. So Issue 3 came out like a millennia ago, right?
And this is before COVID. This is before COVID, and they just kept delaying this book.
Yeah. And
I dropped this after issue 1, so I have I really did.
I totally forgot what happened in this book. So I'm looking, I had to read the recap at the front page, which I still think I love that Marvel does this, because there's always things that you forget. They always put that recap page on there. I think all comics should do that, especially when they only come out once a month, or in this case, once every 7 months. And so I read it, and this book was not the best. Let me just tell you, zombie cybernetic Avengers and his wife that turns into a spider within minutes and trying to capture Spider-Man's son. And
you can just kind of tell. What I don't like about this book is that you could tell that maybe I'm wrong, whatever, but I just feel like they didn't do this for the love of comics. They did this because they're like, let me tell a Spider-Man story. My son's young. I want him to be a writer. Let him start out with a comic. And then you could kind of tell they don't know much about Spider-Man, past the movies, in the actual comics. Because a lot of these stories have been done a lot. They've been done before. And just, the vibe of the book, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't read as a comic. And I just don't feel like it respects the medium. And I think that's what irks me the most for this book.
The biggest thing is that it doesn't necessarily feel like a Spider-Man book. It just lacked any emotion of Spider-Man whatsoever. And I get that Ben is going to be different than his father, but there was no real attachment. Why do I care for Ben? There's no real attachment for me to him.
There's no reason,
why should I care that he's going to take on his father's legacy, right? And why do I care about this villain? And I don't care that he resurrected his wife. There's no reason for it. And cybernetic, zombified Avengers doing battle against an old Tony Stark and a new Riri Williams as a woman, that just didn't appeal to me whatsoever. It's just I feel like they're just well, what characters can we throw in this book? Let's just put Riri in here. Let's put Tony. as an old man. You know, there's just no rhyme or real reason to it. It just seems like it's there to exist, right? Kind of makes you feel like this is like this villain has this Mr. Freeze complex, right? He wants to bring back his wife from the dead. It's basically the same thing. That's what I got out of it. Instead, she turns into a spider, which is weird.
I just looked up when issue 3 came out. It was December 2019. The last
No way.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Was it
December
really?
2019 was the last time this book came out.
Oh, I didn't think it was that.
I didn't
Yeah.
either.
It was way before COVID. I don't even know why I
Yeah.
got this book. Now I have to finish it because issue 5 is the last.
Oh
issue.
my God, I can't believe it's almost been a year.
It's almost been a year.
That's crazy.
I don't know why. I don't know what the delays were, but there were delays for this book.
Wow, man, I am shocked by that. I really am.
It's
Man,
worth
time
it,
goes by
right?
fast, doesn't it, though?
Oh, yes, especially this year.
Jeez. Holy cow. Blows my mind. But I would not recommend this comic book. This is something that you can pass. Unfortunately, I had higher expectations for this. It's just not meeting them whatsoever. So I don't know. But I'm gonna finish the story.
Nah, same.
I'm
One
not.
more issue. I recommend Brant to read Immortal Hulk instead of reading.
Oh my gosh, yes. All right. So now we'll move on to our number 2. My number 2 is another book we already talked about, and it's Suicide Squad issue 9.
Mine too.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Mine was Batgirl. So we're
Okay. So we already talked about that. All right. Well, the next book we're going to talk about is Venom issue 28, and I just want to say it's my number 1 book. So that's done. And you guys don't read Venom.
Mm-mm. I do love seeing your panels, though. I feel like I'm reading Venom. I like seeing your panels. I feel like I'm reading Venom through.
No, there's a lot of stuff happening in this book, man. I can't believe you guys don't read Venom. It's like I got nobody to talk to about with it.
We'll definitely hear it. We just won't have anything to say about it.
Okay, so I'm gonna say some spoilers again, so in case you guys have not read Venom issue 28, which I would hope by now a lot of people are reading Venom issue 28. So I'm going to tell you guys, Eddie has gone into another world, an alternate dimension, I guess, because of the maker, Reed Richards. Okay. And they go into the world, it's called like Venom Beyond or whatever it is. And I told you last time we met up with Agent Venom, who is his wife in this world. We also got to meet her soldiers in this world as well, which consisted of Peter Parker, who also has like a Venom symbiote, like Agent Venom, Cletus Cassidy, who's a good guy, and Eddie's like freaking out because he's like, what is this guy doing here that you're teaming up with him? You know, Deadpool is another one that's in there as well. He's wearing a symbiote, and I think there's one more, but I can't remember. And then they find out that Dylan is Eddie's son, and they're like, "Are you kidding?" And he's kind of like, "Well, what's the story with him? Why aren't you telling me?" And they find out that in this world, Codex is the major bad guy and is the one that's making everybody into symbiotes. And in this world, Codex is Eddie's son. It's Dylan. So he becomes this major bad guy. Now, Mac Gargan was also chasing Eddie and Dylan and getting in, and I'm sorry, let me go back a second. Sorry, let's hit that. Remember there was that character virus that was introduced that was chasing around Eddie and Dylan and everybody in the main world. Well, they fell through that dimensional gate, okay? And Codex wound up capturing Virus. they find out who that person is. And again, this is another huge spoiler, but the person is Mac Gargan, who it was Virus. He stole some tech trying to get back at Eddie because he blamed Eddie for his paralyzation that Carnage did to him that made him lose his legs in Absolute Carnage, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why he's been going after Eddie. Well, Codex rewarded him by giving him his own symbiote. And now he's the Scorpion again, but as a symbiotic Scorpion. So a lot of stuff happened in this issue. And a lot of this stuff is taking place with the main characters. So, and there's a lot of questions to be determined here. Like, how is Eddie going to look at his son in the future? What does that mean for his son, even in the main world? You know, so a lot of interesting story threads here for sure. So
sounds like a lot. Yeah, sounds like a lot happened. A lot of good stuff.
This was like probably like the issue of the year so far from Venom when it comes to everything coming to a head here. So, you know, definitely worth the read. And I know, Brant, that this is not like your style of Venom or whatever, but for me, it's paid off in monumental loads. It just gets better and better. So
yeah, it's awesome.
So good stuff. All right, so that was the Venom talk, and my number one. So what is your number one, Kat?
Mine's Immortal Hulk. We already talked about it.
All right, Brant.
Mine is also Immortal Hulk.
Awesome. Yeah. Good stuff, guys. Immortal Hulk, believe it or not, and all these books I think I love just as much. Like 1 through 6, with even Daredevil. Like I had 7, Maestro was even good. Like 8 books I had that were like all equal tier for me. You know, Venom was obviously that high tier. It was just X of Swords was lower on my list, and of course that's Spider-Man. So Jamie says, I think Noel and Dylan will be on the next Venom, either in the movie or in the end credits.
I think that might be too soon.
I don't know.
I feel like
I think that movie was pretty much made, and it's just being pushed back. So I don't think they would do that. However, I could see this being an event in Marvel in the future.
Yeah,
I could see that, and it definitely has that story vibe to it for sure. And a lot of people are speculating that Dylan could be Noel's son or something like that. So in the world, so there's a lot of story there. All right. So we all went, right? We all gave our number one?
Yep. All our number ones are done.
So all that is done. That is all our comic talk. So we're going to go on to the chopping block, which there's not much here for the chopping block. There's 2 books that are here. There's Angel and Spike and Miles to Go.
Yeah, Angel and Spike. I'm finally putting the chop. I haven't been enjoying it as much as the first arc, honestly, and I feel I've just been pretty bored with this book. I like the cliffhanger, not to spoil it for Brant. I thought the cliffhanger was good, but not enough for me to continue the book. I really didn't like the art for it, so I think I'm going to take a little breather for Angel and Spike. Are you still reading Angel and Spike, Brant? Or
I'm like 2 or 3 issues behind at this point because I was having the same problem.
You already have dropped it.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So. At that point, it's like, oh, I didn't enjoy it. You see it there, and you're like, eh.
Yeah, it got boring. That first arc was really good. And then,
Mm-hmm. Also, the supporting characters aren't as involved. The reason I stuck around with it is because I love the TV show, but a big reason why I like the show was Cordelia, and she's not in the book. So I'm still reading Buffy, which has been pretty solid. I think there's on and off, but I definitely think Buffy's stronger than Angel. I dropped Willow, so I'm like, I just need to read Buffy at this point. Miles to Go is a new book. I forget who releases it. Aftershock.
I think it's Aftershock. Yeah.
I gave it a shot because the preview was like, this little kid shooting people. I'm like, kind of hit girl vibes. And then you find out that little kid is actually a grown woman. So I'm like, this is not as interesting.
Okay.
So that's like a mother, and I'm like, it was fine. It wasn't a bad story, but like the reason I picked it up is because like a little girl was shooting people, and I was like, oh, that's like cool. Like, why is she doing that? How's that happening? And then that's not the story. So yeah, not as interesting. So I'm dropping that one.
All right. So not much on the chopping block because, like we said, there was a lot of great books that came out this week. So I'm passing it on to Brant now for our most anticipated books coming out tomorrow.
Yeah. And I'll start with one that I actually cut off there because now I'm curious. There's a new Immortal Hulk. Was it Threshold? That's coming out. I know, Mike, you had marked that one.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't go into like the detail, like what it was about. The only reason why I marked it was because it's Immortal Hulk. I've read everything that has to do with the Immortal Hulk, so I was like, why not read it? So I'm definitely
not Halloween now. It's Jeff Lemire, which honestly still like,
dude, that still says good.
Jeff Lemire, right?
Yeah.
He's way out there too, so it could be even better actually.
And also really emotional. So I was like, I'm gonna pick this up. A, like what Mike said, because it's Immortal Hulk, but then B, I think Jeff Lemire could bring like a really cool vibe to it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Might be an issue to pick up, Brant, since it's might be new reader friendly because of it.
Yeah, maybe I might do that. Then we got another new number one, Shang-Chi #1. I'm actually interested in this. I like Shang-Chi.
Let me know if it's good because I'll pick it up if you guys say it's extraordinary.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm picking it up on Wednesday. Like I'll read it for the show if you guys really like it.
I'm still surprised you won't pick it up because of the kung fu stuff, though, Kat. Like you usually like that stuff.
I do, but from what I know about this, well, I was going to say what I know about this series, it's like very deep in mythology, but at the same time I did an interview with the writer and he said, yeah, I don't really know much about Shang-Chi. So maybe it will really,
that's funny.
Really reader friendly.
Like, steeped in mythology, but you know, that mythology I don't know anything about.
So much about it. So we'll see. I just don't know really anything about the character. And I think that's kind of what worries me. There's so many new books out there and he never really interests me that much. Like, even though I do like the kung fu, past that I don't really know much about his personality or anything. So
I would hope that
like if you guys like it.
Yeah, I hope they would make it new reader friendly. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So otherwise they're not going to get a lot of people on it.
There's sometimes Shang-Chi can be really interesting. Sometimes he's just kind of there when they use him. There was some, I forget which Avengers series it was, but there was an Avengers series where they were doing like a clandestine group of Avengers and he was part of it, and they delved into some of his past with his father and all that, and that was really interesting. So I'm curious because if they are delving into that mythology, if they touch some of that too, that kind of interests me because of that. So we'll see. We also got, let's see, Batman 3 Jokers issue 2.
Oh yeah.
Issue 1 was really interesting, and I'm still don't know exactly what's going on, but I'm invested now, and I got to see what happens next.
I was talking to Mike about this beforehand, and please, no freaking spoilers in the chat if you guys have read the book. There was something that was spoiled early on. It's a pretty big moment. It'll be interesting to talk about next week. But I don't think everyone's gonna like it. I haven't read the full. I only know the spoiler.
I'm curious, like, what's going to be next for Jason Todd, and did you know? And everyone says this too. Like, Batgirl, did she really want Jason to miss? Right?
Yeah.
Like, I think deep down she wanted him to die too.
Yeah.
So what's next? You know, because once Batman finds out that that Joker is dead, I think he's going to be pissed.
Oh yeah, totally. It goes against everything he stands for. So,
sure.
Was it the right one? No, we still don't know that either.
It can't be.
Yeah, of course not.
I don't think it's the one that hurt him.
Right.
I think it'd be interesting if it's the one that hurt Barbara.
Exactly.
Instead, yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, that's possible. Jamie Sandoval brought up Department of Truth. That is another new #1 coming out, and that is on our list.
I'm interested in this. This is supposed to be a really big issue. It's James Tynion. I don't love the artwork. That's kind of an issue for me. I do like the concept. It's conspiracy theories, whatever they are true. But the artwork, I don't know. Obviously,
Who's the artist?
Oh man, I don't know. Let me see. Department of Truth one. Let's see. The artist is Martin Simmons. He did Dying is Easy. So I don't think he's done many big mainstream books, but it's very scratchy from what I saw in the preview. So we'll see. I'm interested to pick it up.
Yeah, I'm picking that up too. The concept of the story was, like you said, Kat, this conspiracy theory thing. Like, there's so many conspiracy theories, right? And you're kind of like, well, what if they come true in this book? I want to hear all that stuff.
This will probably be like Shang-Chi for me. If you guys tell me it's good, I'll go get it. Yeah. Let's see, Mike, you're interested in Spawn 310. It's supposed to be like a brand new like arc, and is there a new character or something being introduced or something? I read something.
There's been all these new Spawns popping up. I'm not really current on the series, but I've been trying to get any covers that Todd McFarlane's been drawing. So that's really why I'm collecting it, because he's been doing some more, obviously he's been doing a cover art. So anyone that he's doing that, I'm trying to pick up. And I always try Spawn. Like, I want to get into it, and then sometimes I can't. I'll get into it for a few issues, and then I don't again. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I always give it a solid try.
Yeah. New character, Ninja Spawn. Okay.
Ninja Spawn. Yeah.
Sounds about
starting,
right.
Yeah. It's starting the storm. Whatever. Yeah, I guess that's the new arc. So cool. All right. Let's see. We got Wonder Woman 763, which we're all enjoying this run on Wonder Woman and Liar Liar, of course. I love this. I forget who's writing it now. It's Tamaki, right?
Tamaki.
Yeah, Tamaki. I love Tamaki's take on Wonder Woman in this series. And Liar Liar, like I said, it took me by surprise a little bit. So it's kind of cool. Her connection to Max Lord and all that stuff. So I definitely want to see where that goes from here. So
yeah, I like this story. I think it's definitely better than what we've been getting with Wonder Woman, and it's definitely making me stick around. I didn't like it as much as the first issue, but I'm still enjoying it. I'm interested with the Liar Liar character for sure.
Yeah. The first issue was definitely better. Yeah.
Oh, sure. And now, you kind of find out, obviously, that this is Maxwell Lord's daughter. And so it's like he wants to go against her. So now you know why he's teaming up with Wonder Woman. So you see all the pieces kind of pulled together here. So how long does this story goes on? Does this go on for another 2 more issues after this? Because then
I know there's a new artist coming up soon, which will be.
Then we're getting into the whole Endless Winter situation, right? So we got to look at, there's not going to be too much more story. There can't really be a new story arc unless it's just a one shot in between Endless Winter or something like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. All right. Mike, you wanted to talk about Stranger Things Science Camp issue 1?
Yeah, man. Hey, everything is cool at Science Camp, right? So
I guess so.
So why not pick it up in Stranger Things style? So, I love Stranger Things, and I'm just curious, honestly, to see what this story has to offer. And that's about it, though. It could be cool, could not be. Could be a push to get more money, but I'm there.
Yeah.
Watch last season.
You need to watch the season. It was so good.
I wanted to catch up when the new season came up. I'm like, I'm so late already, and I know everything that happened and everything I would actually like about it. I'm like, I'll just wait until that comes up.
I think I started the last Stranger Things miniseries and didn't finish it. So yeah, they're all like, you don't have to read them chronologically or anything. So I don't know what this one's about, though. Obviously, they're going to science camp, so that could be interesting. And then the last one we got to talk about is Batman the Joker Warzone, issue 1, 48-page one-shot anthology.
So I have read this, obviously not going to spoil it, and I'll plug my article again. Go read it. But the only reason I want to mention it is that a lot happens in this issue, because normally with these one-shots, you're like, oh, it's gonna be filler. Every story has to do with a story that's going to come up in 2021. So everything's tied into a future storyline of Batman. So if you want to know what's happening in the universe after Joker War, and even during Joker War, I say this is a must read.
Okay. Well,
yep, I'm reading it.
We kind of have to now, right?
Yeah.
You know, we're not gonna stop reading Batman. Come on.
It's just
possible spec issue too. I'll say that.
It's crazy though. I with so many Batman books this year. It's like some kind of like anthology book or milestone book, and it's just like, gee whiz, like why can't we get a normal book?
You also never know which one's going to be important, because you've read like all these anniversary issues, and a lot of them are just so filler, and you're like, oh, I kind of wasted my money on that.
Yeah,
and then you get something like this that looks so filler and so easy to not pick up. And honestly, before this, the only reason I was picking it up is because of Stephanie. If Stephanie wasn't in it, I don't know if I would have picked it up. And because of that awesome cover with Stephanie, it's such an easy book to miss, and then have so many important elements. It's like, oh man, I kind of wish people would tell us about this.
Right.
Yeah, that's the cover I'm getting too, with all three of them on there. I think that's awesome.
Yes. But that's it for key issues, or most anticipated, whatever you want to call it. So.
All right, so that's it. So I guess that's the show today. Do you guys want to say anything, plug anything? Now's your chance.
Just that my friend Phil's Kickstarter is going on right now. Let me get the link. He's doing really well for first day. If you like horror books,
I haven't looked at it.
Go check it out. 72 backers.
Nice.
Yeah, he's doing really well.
Half of that last time I looked.
Yeah, that's extremely great first day. So go support Phil's Kickstarter if you can. It's a really, really cool book. Phil's a cool guy, so go support.
Yeah, no, I actually started another YouTube channel if you guys want to check it out, but it has to do with my new dog that's coming on Saturday. It's called Adventures of Cookie the Corgi. It's with the new dog in my family. It's kind of like a vlog type of thing where it's the arrival of our new dog, and you'll be getting updates with the dog and little things that we do with the dog. And again, it's a family thing, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And we put up a puppy supply haul that the other day, so if you guys want to check that out, again, it's called Adventures of Cookie the Corgi. So that's that. And stay tuned for my haul tomorrow. And and that's about it. So you guys got anything else before we go?
Good.
I don't think so. Not this week.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been another episode of Comic Book Weekly. Stay tuned for us again next week, as we are hopeful that Chris will make his return back on the show, keeping our fingers crossed. And until then, guys, have a great week. Go get those comic books. Enjoy your reading, and we'll see you real soon. Take care.